We've now had a week to process the exciting news of a new Pokemon Legends game. This week, we're discussing with our favorite Pokemon experts. This is the Good Game Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game Bad Game podcast. Good Game Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer. With me, as always, is my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I'm great.
That's-
Better today.
As compared to,
Last episode.
and why might that be?
I feel like you're going to tell us.
Okay, I will. Also joining us, our fave duo to talk all things Pokemon with, it's Chris and Jess of OneSPlays. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fantastic.
We are average.
Oh,
We fantastic.
No, we are doing great. And ironically, Luna decided the best time to be itchy would be right when we hit unmute on the microphone. So always the professional, that Luna.
it's always nice
Apologize in
when
advance.
it's always nice when pets can make a nice little appearance. I'm super excited to have you guys. As soon as we got that nice little surprise at the end of the Pokemon Presents, it was like instantly first thing that popped in my head was like, can we get Chris and Jess to come on and talk about this? Because I'm really excited to hear what your thoughts are. I know we talked about Legends Arceus. Oh my god, was that like 3 years ago at this point? 2 years?
I wanna
2
say
years?
two.
Yeah.
No, it would have been
Like,
three.
came out in 2020,
The announcement of it would have been 3 years ago. It was Pokemon.
but I don't think
Day.
I talked about that. I think that was Brock and you.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't come in till late.
I get you and Brock confused all
Yeah,
the time.
we're similar. We look alike.
Well, I guess like just right off like the bat, what were each of your first reactions? Were either of you truly expecting it, or was it one of those things where it's like they could, but no expectations with Pokemon?
So for me, I was hoping for it. I knew the rumors. I don't listen to Pokemon rumors. I actually listen to Chris that filters all the rumors and then just tells me the most common ones.
Smart.
So I was hoping for one. I knew there was one. Then I didn't get to watch this thing live because I was educating the youth of tomorrow or whatever today or whatever it is. But I got a text from Chris at like 9:12 that was, oh my gosh, and I was like, oh, it's a Legends. So super excited. Would rather that than any other game that they could announce. Honestly, at this point for me.
I went into it fully expecting it to be another Let's Go, because that was what
Oh,
the rumor mongers on the internet were saying. And so I had basically convinced myself that was going to be it, so I wouldn't be disappointed at the end, because that was already the bar. So when the trailer started and it kind of had the old font of Legends Arceus, I started to get really excited, but didn't fully allow myself to be pumped up until I saw the actual title of it.
right. And so they
And, yeah,
actually
then
gave the final reveal.
Exactly, because you never know. It could have been
Mhm.
like anything else. I didn't want to be hurt again. But yeah, I was so excited and so shocked, and I'm glad it's not being rushed out. Like, I'm glad they're not like, oh, we're gonna push it through this year just because.
Right. Like we only have a timeline of 2025 right now. We don't even have anything beyond that, right?
Oh yeah, just 2025, and being released simultaneously worldwide. Or I forget what the exact terminology was.
Right.
Which to me makes me think it's going to be on multiple systems instead of like multiple regions, just because they've been doing multiple regions at the same time for ever now, or the past couple games at least, I think.
Yeah, that was something that I think, Mike, you were bringing that up at the tail end of last week's episode, right?
Yeah, and I hadn't realized, and I think that's a really good insight that they have been releasing it across regions, because that was my impression of it saying releasing worldwide simultaneously was. Um, but I also don't feel like I've ever seen that verbiage on a Nintendo announcement before. So I think that's a really good call out that they've just been doing that without saying it.
It's always fun to put those things and like how companies will like specifically convey messages and like putting those things under a microscope to kind of read between the lines of what it is that they're actually trying to get across. It's always a fun aspect of it. Uh, I'm trying to remember back to when we talked about Arceus when that game came out. Jess, if I remember correctly, you like completely loved it, and I feel like it jumped to one of, if not your favorite Pokemon game. Is that right?
Numero uno, baby. Yeah, I
And
love it. It's a phenomenal game.
and Chris, remind me where it like fell for you.
I think it was up there when it first released, but now that time has passed and we're kind of through Scarlet and Violet, I think it has ascended to one. Like I look back at least, the modern era of Pokemon games, and that's the one that shines brightest in my memory. I think it's because of some of the things it had in it that Scarlet and Violet took away that
Mm-hmm.
made me appreciate it even more.
I feel like I felt the same way, and I was kind of trying to touch on that last week, where sometimes it's really easy to get caught up in um, just like new Pokemon content, right? And so it's really easy when like Scarlet and Violet came out to just be like, I'm just having fun because it's like a new like world. There's new Pokemon, and it's just really easy to just get caught up in all of that. But I feel the exact same way. It's like I I'm almost shocked at how excited I got seeing that they were making another Legends game because I was remembering just how much fun I had with the first one.
And
So
it was just so different. And
right.
it basically is a blank slate. We don't know if it's going to be in the future or the past or both. And it's interesting that it's just one city. So I feel like there'll be a lot more like verticality instead of being wide open land. It might be like an underground, you know, more like that level of map, suburbs.
Yeah. And I'm really interested to see because admittedly I've been trying not to like read too much, especially because just like you were saying earlier, it's sometimes best to just like tap out of Pokemon rumors because you'll just get some of the like craziest expectations to just like the most absurd pie in the sky things. So like I only try to take is it Cerebi.net. I usually just wait for them to report on something because I'm like, well, at this point I'm pretty confident it's been announced by Pokemon themselves. But I'm curious, what are some of the takes that you're seeing that seem the most realistic, and I guess what are the things that you are both most hopeful for to kind of take this game maybe to the next level from the first Legends game?
I haven't actually seen, there hasn't been much speculation or rumors about it. I feel like the game was kind of just announced out of nowhere and kind of held really close to the vest. There was nothing released about it. In terms of what I'm excited for, would be like megas. I'm glad megas are coming back because I love those types of Pokemon. And there's going to be even more megas now, I imagine. Like, I imagine they're going to give us 3 starters that didn't have megas before that are going to get new megas. And it'll be interesting to see how they bring in the new generations of Pokemon, if Paradox Pokemon will be involved, or I'm just kind of excited to see what they do with it because there's so much mystery behind it. I I can't even think of what they could do.
I I'm thinking. I'm collecting my
You had
thoughts.
so much
I
time to
know I
collect your thoughts.
did. The second part of that question was, what are you hoping they do?
Mm-hmm.
Do I remember that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
I hope they keep most of it the same.
Yes.
Things I loved, the Pokédex, what do you call them? Entry check mark things.
The
That
task
hit my
based.
lizard brain. Like, I
Yes.
love doing it. I love the way the shinies were introduced. Bring back the sound, please.
Mm-hmm.
Please, please. Loved how my screen got inked when I'd get hurt. Thought it was a cool feature. Bring that back. The only thing I would probably try to get rid of, and you had mentioned this in your podcast last week, so I'll keep it brief. But the way you had to travel around the world was a little clunky.
Yeah.
So I would like a change in that. But other than that, let's keep this thing the same. To me,
Yeah, I
I
found
think because it's a city, it might just be completely like open. Like there will be no like in Arceus there was a center base, and then you had to go to the four different regions from there. I think
Mhm.
it just might be like Grand Theft Auto style, just wide open city. You can like you can find Miraidons and Koraidons, and you can just carjack them.
Oh my
They're yours.
gosh, yeah. I would say if you're familiar with Elder Scrolls Online, which is a huge part of my life, they have it like Cyrodiil. Imperial City is the big city of Tamriel. And the way that's done is there's 6 different areas, at least in ESO, and each one is themed a little differently. And to travel to them, they're like connected, if that makes sense. So in order for me to get to C and I'm in A, I'd have to go through the B area to get through C.
But you don't need to go through a loading screen going from A to B,
Yes.
B to C.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm envisioning just because that's what I know from Elder Scrolls Online with a city that has 6 different areas, for lack of a better word.
I'm also curious, Chris, you brought up about like the underground. Do you see that as like an area that you would have to like go through some sort of loading screen, or is your thought there too that it's still just like all cohesive?
I could see that being its own separate map.
Yeah.
It could be like a Scarlet and Violet situation where that could be a DLC. It could be like a Kitakame. It could be a region that they unveil later in the lifespan of the game. Unless they are gonna, maybe the city is just the start, and maybe there will be outside areas too. We have no clue.
Right. I just from how I know they only showed like a little bit, right? And it's like supposed to be the what? It's like the urban redevelopment of the city, right? And they like showed
Yeah.
like the city planning map, and I don't know, to me it just looks like the perfect map to just try and like have that be it, right? And like break it up into sections, almost like what you were suggesting, just like Elder Scrolls does, right? Where it's like it's like one big circle almost that you like have to move through areas to get to area A. You have, and from area C, right, you have to go through area B. It just seems like so perfect for that, and that's really what I'm hoping for, because I thought the clunkiest and worst part about Legends the first go around was the fact that you had to go through this whole like back and forth thing. So it's like, especially in the end game, right, when you're maybe just trying to go for shinies and stuff like that, you like go into an area, and I forget how the outbreaks worked exactly, but you go to the first area, and that's got the one shiny that you're looking for. You catch one, and then it's like, well, there's nothing else in this area, so now I have to go back to the base. And then I have to like go to leave again, see where there might be another outbreak happening. If there's not one happening, you would have to like load into one just to load back to get another one to try and spawn in and stuff like that, right? Um,
Yes.
just like so, it just feels like so much like time wasted almost in like in that like whole system of like trying to get some action going, basically. And I think that's ultimately what like forced it to kind of hit a wall for me after I'd gotten through like the main game and started to like finish up a lot of the check marks in the Pokedex, which again, agree with you 1,000%, Jess, about that scratching the lizard brain for me of like see task, check off task. Um, but yeah, I felt like I just kind of hit a wall then in like the end game of like, oh, do I shiny hunt and stuff like that, because it just felt like so slow and tedious at that point. So I really hope they just have this be as open as possible.
I will say I would sacrifice the loading screen for better performance. I think Scarlet and Violet's it is completely open world and the map can't handle it, especially with the overworld spawns. Granted, we're going to be at least 2 years past that and hopefully on a new system, so hopefully performance isn't an issue at all. But they haven't proven to us that that's a priority, so that is the one situation where I wouldn't mind having segmented areas if it meant each area ran smoothly and it looked better overall.
It's a pretty fair call out. Mike, you've been somewhat quiet. What would be something that this game could provide to get you to maybe dive back in?
Pokemon Cyberpunk is all I'm hoping for.
Okay, all right.
Like I think about, like I kind of mean that seriously. Like in terms of like a map, it obviously won't be as big as Cyberpunk, but it's basically just the city with a bunch of really different neighborhoods in it, essentially, all bringing different, a different feel to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then like maybe one area outside of the city that's a big plain or something like that. That's been like the big selling point to me. And it's funny, I was talking to Justine about it, and she's not very excited about the idea of it just being like a closed city game. And
Interesting.
the reason she gave to me, the reason she loves Arceus so much is because when she was a kid, she thought she'd grow up to just like catch butterflies in a field. And that's exactly what Arceus is to her.
It's pretty fair. It's pretty fair. But if the city has, to your point, like a unique feel to each of the different areas, would that suffice?
Not to speak for her, but
No.
I think if we get the game, she's gonna play it. And she'll probably, I mean, she's got over 100 hours in it. In Arceus. So I think if we get it, she'll play it, and she'll probably play it dead.
and a lot of that I'm assuming has to do more so with like the gameplay and how it differs from just and this is considered a mainline game, but how it differs from the typical like new generation mainline games of Pokemon. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, she tried. I forget which mainline game, but she didn't like it. She doesn't really like the idea of it being like battle focused and gym focused.
Mm-hmm.
She likes more of just the collecting and completing like the research.
Yeah.
So she gave up on like the mainline games very quickly, but loves Arceus.
I think she would like Mystery Dungeon, like those type of games then, since it's like a different mechanic.
I don't know. I don't know that she knows Mystery Dungeon exists.
Or even the Let's Goes that I think lessen the battling. You just mostly battle trainers, right? And focus on catching the wild Pokemon.
Yeah, catching was just based off the circle, right? Timing based
Mm-hmm.
Could
and
be.
growing accuracy. So she might like that.
You did have a stint with Pokemon Go, so
Can I ask something?
Of
And
course.
it's because when I watched the trailer, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, oh, these are some Pokemon outlines and some fast movement and some text. Why are we assuming it's only in the city? Is that like a rumor? Because I keep myself in the dark. Like I said, I get all my rumors from Chris because I don't feel like filtering through them, and 90% of them aren't going to happen. So why do we think it is? Like, am I missing where that came out? That it's just in a city and it's not you're going out into the world to get supplies to build, like Bob the Builder style, said city?
It totally could be that. I personally, just because they showed like that like sketch of the city, and it again, like just looking at it and not actually having any grasp of scale or anything like that. I just kind of assumed it was just like, oh, you're just going to be in the city, and then I kind of just kept that thought process. Um, I think
I'm
what you're
frankly
just
hoping for it.
I think what you're suggesting, Jess, right, where it's like if you're going out and gathering resources to like to like bring back to help build up the city, and you can like see the progression of the city being built up, that would be extremely satisfying. And kind of a neat mechanic.
I will say the city itself, like the way I saw how it was broken up in the end, instantly thought of Elder Scrolls Imperial City, but I didn't get that feeling. So I was just wondering if that was why. But I can see why you would think like
I think
think
one thing they only showed off the map, but each Pokemon game they always have water. They usually have different biomes, which you're not going to get in the city
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. I think because of that, because of the wide variety of Pokemon that can only be found canonly in certain areas, you have to
Mhm.
have some areas where you travel. That's how you get there, what time frame you're in. Maybe you'll take like a regional rail. You'll hate it. Get the Pokemon Amtrak.
the SEPTA, the
Yeah, the
SEPTA
SEPTA.
system. Yikes.
So I think that's gonna be the fun thing to do for the next couple months is just the speculation and the guessing and I'm my guess is in June or July they'll do another kind of presents or randomly drop trailers and we'll get more information. If I had to guess, I would think it's gonna come out in like March. I can see that's when the next system comes out. It would
Mhm.
be in line with what they did for the original Switch too.
The last game, the last Legends came out in January though. I will say
Yes.
that. So I don't know if they're trying to repeat.
I think it depends on when the Switch 2 is released. I'm gonna live
Well,
and die by that.
wasn't that pushed to like at least July of next year? Is that what
Did they
they
say
said?
that? I didn't see that. So if you would have more knowledge of that, if that's the case, then
I think they did. I'm not 100%. I'm like probably 85%, but I thought that's what they said.
I only remember seeing that it got pushed to 2025. I don't remember a more concrete deadline than that, but
they're
I don't
probably
know.
still holding on to hope that they can look for plasma screens and not have to go with LCD. Working backwards.
But yeah, I think it would make sense, and we started to kind of like speculate on it a little bit last week to try and line this game releasing in tandem with a new console coming out. So I would expect as we learn more information about one or the other, it will probably help to tip off what's happening on the other side of things, right? Like if we find out a more concrete timeline of the Legends game, it might give us a glimpse into when the Switch 2 is potentially coming and vice versa.
So they are saying Q1
Very interesting.
is what people are speculating, at least, but a lot of people are speculating. So there's
Yeah.
probably some bearing in that. So there you go. Might be spot on.
You heard it here first.
I think and again, like obviously we didn't really get to see much. Personally, I thought the best thing about the little teaser that they gave was that Sylveon got some love, got some screen time. That was pretty cool. I don't know how everybody else felt about that.
Probably going to be like the stray cat of the city. Sylveons everywhere. You have to collect them and take them to the SPCA.
Throw them out.
That's why you leave the city. It's to get rid of just a animal control van. You take them out of the city.
Oh, that's something that not anything about the cats or the SPCA or whatever. Something they could improve that I would love is a better box organizational system
Yes.
option. That was awful.
Just let us sort by Pokedex number. Like, just have a button that lets it rearrange the box automatically. That's all they need to do.
Yeah. Because that's what we're all doing anyway, right? We're all sorting them by Pokedex number.
I would love to, but I do not because
Oh.
after 3 hours of playing my box is just so disorganized. But I don't blame anyone who would do that if they are out there.
I would tediously sit there and get them in order. And then once you have them in order, yeah, it's pretty easy from
It's true.
there. But yeah, no, I've always thought that too, right? Like just give like a couple of different options, right? Like sort by level, sort by Pokedex number, sort by, if you wanted to do like sort by type, so that way you could get all of those just kind of like congregated together, and then like sort by custom, and then you can kind of have at it and sort it however you want. I feel like a feature like that would be incredible.
Also, just being able to label the boxes. So like the way I do mine is I have my shiny boxes
Hmm.
and my legendary boxes, and that's it. And my PVE box. So the ones I use throughout. And just to be able to write at the top what it
You
is,
you can do that.
not in Art Legends you couldn't.
Oh, okay. I was saying Scarlet and
In
Violet.
Scarlet and Violet you can, yeah, but not in Legends.
And that's also been in, I want to say, every game. I feel like I remember being able to name boxes back in like Emerald. So it's kind of
I think
interesting
you
that they
could do
didn't
it in
have it.
Red. I think you could have named. No, that one was kind of clunky though. Maybe not. Maybe it was Silver.
Yeah,
I
so
don't know. Maybe the writing level just wasn't very high in Hisui yet, so they didn't want to make it realistic.
they had a full blown Pokedex phone.
Priorities, I guess.
I guess it's a good point.
Who am
Um,
I to say?
I do find it interesting. Well, I guess first off, anything else specific to Legends that you guys would like to discuss?
Not me.
I'm good.
Do you think you'll be able to climb buildings like King Kong style with Pokemon? Like you can climb cliff edges in Arceus right now?
I would imagine, but only with like Infernape, only with like the monkey Pokemon
Yeah.
to make it realistic.
That would be hilarious.
That'd be a nice touch. I was going to bring up, because you mentioned it for like a split second, Chris, about the mystery dungeon games, and I'm curious if either one of you, or Mike, even you, think that there's like a path for any of those types of games on like a go forward, and like the speculation around a Let's Go. Do you think that there's an opportunity for a Let's Go, or another new mystery dungeon game? I don't really know how they would do Pokemon Ranger on the Switch, unless you like have the Joy-Con and you have to like circle it around in the air over and over again, which would get very tiring. But those like those side type games, right? Like it felt like when Legends was first shown, that's what this was like going to become, like another side series, and then again, everything that's been released around it considers it a mainline game. Do you think like Pokemon will ever go back to making those sort of like, in some ways maybe risky games, or do you think there's a pretty easy formula for them from here on out to continue doing like a Legends game, do a new generation game, and maybe make a remake every once in a while, to get people to stop screaming for Gen 4 remakes?
I I don't personally. I'm not, as knowledgeable in some of those side games, but I would say no. I think right now, Pokemon, I feel like they're struggling with even their main games and just banking on, oh, this is like we have new Pokemon and it's a new region and go get them. Like, and I think the only one I could see would be Let's Go, but I don't think it would be well received based on the things I've heard in our own comments on our YouTube videos, and just what I have stumbled upon. I do not think it would be well received, no matter what region you did it in. But I just can't see a successful future for like Pokemon Snap, especially if it continues the way they did the last one, or Pokemon Range or any of those.
I think they'll always have that stuff in their back pocket. Those games will appear at some point because nostalgia will kick in. but maybe the performance of Pokemon Snap 2 scared them away from just, oh, we can just do what we did because it's Pokemon and it'll sell, it'll be well received. And I don't think that game certainly didn't have any longevity. I know a lot of people didn't like it, including us. And maybe they know this game will sell and they want to wait until the new system's out and fully optimized, and then they're going to start doing all these new ones again, meaning the dungeons and
Mm-hmm.
rangers and stuff like that. But I would say Arceus or Legends, and then probably Gen 9 or 10, whatever we're on.
Maybe Gen 10 is next.
Yeah, which they're probably going to do a huge thing for that, I imagine.
I would hope so.
Do you think they're going to get to a point where the Legends games continue to be successful and they just decide to consolidate like mainline into a Legends game? And like I know that I forget which Pokemon game it was, but the first one on the Switch that had like the new like design, like the 3D camera, things like that, that Legends took some inspiration from that. But do you think they'll get to a point where they just consolidate it into one game?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
I think because the mainline series games have been around for so long and are so well received and so ingrained that if you took those away, it would be bad news. I know for me personally, when they tried to change the formula up in Sun and Moon, I didn't like it at all. So I was glad they went back to the typical system and for Sword and Shield. So I think there will always be that line and then these extra games on top of it.
I think from a business perspective, people are gonna buy them both. Like, I know we will buy them both. We'll probably buy 2 copies because we both want to play at the same time. So to know that you have that, like, people are always going to buy that main game, which is also less difficult too and geared more to kids. So getting your future fan base in, I personally do not see that happening.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. And they're just different enough too, right? That you can like keep them considered separate and get, just like you said, get people to double dip and buy both, and be fans of both series. And I think I think like probably the main aspect, which is the fact that like Legends isn't, so battle focused, right? And it's simply about just going into areas and being able to move about with the Pokemon and catch them. Kind of makes it a little more fun than just the mainline games. And then at the same time, the fun of going into a new area and having to try and become champion of that area is fun in its own regards. So it's an interesting point and something that I think they actually need to make sure they do a good job of, right? Which is making sure that the feel of both the games does remain different enough. And I'm sure a lot of people would be upset if they started to bleed together too much.
I think the Legends games are good, like sandboxes
Mhm.
for the mainline games. They can be experimental and take chances because it's Legends. It's different. It's not the main games, so you can't expect people to be too upset if there is something different. And then the things people really like, we can carry over to the mainline games. Although they didn't do that with the
I said they didn't
shiny
do.
noise, but the way the mechanic of like instantly going into a battle just by running into a Pokemon, the seamless transition there, and the overworld spawns and stuff like that.
Mhm.
There was some inspiration.
For sure. It'll be interesting to see how they continue to grow. I mean, again, it's one of those things where, kind of going back to the announcement, it's like ever since the first Legends game came out and I got to play it, it was like, I hope they make another one of these. But again, with like the Pokemon Company, I feel like you can never really necessarily count on anything. And you can only just sit there and quietly hope that they do the thing that you want them to do. And if you tip your hand too much, they'll wait forever to make those Sinnoh remakes. Um, so I mean, I'm just really excited, and I hope that they continue to just adapt these Legends games and continue to find ways to make them fresh, much like they've, I mean, been able to do for the most part with the mainline new generation games, finding ways to keep those fresh enough to have going on 10 generations, which is just crazy to think about. So, um, anything else around Legends and Pokemon and their plans that you guys got?
Not for the Switch games. In terms of the presents, I was excited to see Pocket. That's was kind of a cool little surprise that I'm looking forward to as a fan of collecting and playing the trading card game. So I'm excited to see what comes with that.
I am also very excited to see what comes from that. I think I said it a bit last week, though. Um, it makes me really nervous, and it starts to toe a line where it feels like it could get very gross depending on how they handle like packs and stuff like that, and if they find a way to kind of catch a few whales and get people to spend actual money on the game and in the game to open packs. I thought I saw something that was like suggesting that you would be getting free packs um on a somewhat regular cadence, but I admittedly didn't look too much more into it. So I'm really interested to see how that's handled. But yeah, I definitely have tentative excitement about that too, because I'm right there with you. I just spent the past like week basically opening my entire backlog of cards that I that I've been like stocking and forgetting to get around to opening. And it's a ton of fun and a great experience. So being able to do it on my phone will be great too.
They said you get 2 free packs a day. So based off that, I feel like there is going to be a way to buy packs.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's not. Hopefully it's because I'll give them credit in TCG Live, which is their new online TCG game, which does have a mobile app actually.
Mm-hmm.
You can't spend real money in that game to buy packs and stuff. You basically just earn credits by scanning your code cards, and if you have duplicates, you get like a in-game currency, and you can trade those back in for packs. And the more you play and like rank up the ladder, you get rewards that you can use to buy packs too. But primarily, they want you to buy the real life packs, and you get the code cards, and that's how you build your digital collection.
And it would be cool to see them integrate buying, yeah, physical packs and somehow rewarding that through the app.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. Like, because are they going to let you scan it in TCG Live and Pocket, or is it
Right.
one or the other, or is there going to be 2 codes in each pack now?
Could you hypothesize that they keep theirs the same, everything the same, and how you get packs in the new game is that if you win, you get X amount of in-game credit. I use that term loosely, like you would in a Pokemon battle, and then you could flip it around and buy different packs with your in-game currency.
Yeah, that's kind of how they do it in Live, on a much slower scale. But yeah, I could see that. But I could also see this being you pay for packs
Mm-hmm.
and you get these super rare cards. And I've seen people throw around, NFT, and I really, really hope they don't do that. I don't think they will. I don't think it's going to be, the encrypted cards. But hopefully there isn't like a marketplace where you can, buy cards and make them more valuable, or supply and demand. Hopefully it's just luck of the draw. And if you want to trade, you could only trade with friends or something like that.
Yeah, it'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how they do it because if it'll basically come down to do they bake in any sort of artificial scarcity? Um, because when it's digital, that's what it is. It's not like I don't open baseball cards or sports cards, but like those like superfractor cards, right, where it's like one of one, um, or one of however many, and it tells you on the card, the number versus how many there are out there. As long as they don't do a system like that on a digital thing, um, that would be the thing that kind of puts me over the edge. That would make me feel rather gross, I guess, about it. But obviously, we don't know how they'll handle it, so I won't get too up in arms about it just yet.
Yeah, if they do like the one of one digital cards, every other dude on Twitter is gonna have a profile picture of their one of one card with just be Charizard with laser eyes.
And then I'll screenshot it and say, "Look at this card I got."
Exactly, this is mine.
Right click, save as.
Yeah. And Doctor Up and perfect. I think this game's gonna cater to new players. Like it seems like they're really simplifying it compared to the regular game, which the game's not too hard to pick up and play in terms of rules. There's some nuances, but this seems like after a couple rounds you'll get it. They really simplified it, so maybe they're trying to. This is just a way to get the younger generation in with these super cool looking cards and simple play style.
And
I'm looking forward to seeing if the game can be played in 5-10 minutes instead of 20-25 minutes.
Sure. And they flipped the Pokeball, right? So now the Pokeball is right side up on the cards.
Yeah. Still a baffling decision, but I respect it. Not backing down.
No. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how that is. I wonder if they'll find ways, just because again we don't know, and they have a plethora of other games on your phone, right? So I wonder if they'll find a way to try and like sync up some of those things so that depending on your play style in like Pokemon Go, for example, could you earn rewards that transfer to TCG?
To run a marathon and get a pack. I would do that. I would be in great shape.
I was gonna say, yeah, it would be like when Pokemon Go came out, right? And it was like, wow, people are more active than they've ever been. It's like here's a way to get people to get out and start moving again.
Conversely, if I can do the same playing Pokemon Sleep, I'll become super lazy too. Whatever gets me the digital Charizard faster.
Have y'all been playing Pokemon Sleep?
No.
Okay.
No.
I downloaded it and like had it on my phone for one night, and I was like, I don't want to just keep my phone in my bed for the rest of my life, just for the chance that digital Pokemon's going to appear on my screen.
Yeah, I downloaded it as well, and then as I was like going through the setup and stuff, I was like, I feel gross. I don't like this. I don't like it. My phone just being next to me, burning a hole through my bed, because I have to have it plugged in throughout the entire night.
Wait, it actually goes in your bed?
Yeah, you have to cut a hole into your mattress and stuff it in.
That's not what I mean, asshole.
You can also just tape it to your body.
Okay, that's good.
No, they also released at the same time that Pokemon Go or that plus or whatever it's called.
But yeah.
You're just gonna ignore my
Plus
question.
minus dash.
Yo, I'm getting to your question. that they wanted you to buy this device that the device would sit in your bed and track. I think it tracks your noises and your movement, and that's what does something in the game. I think if you get a better night's sleep, rarer things appear. Or you can leave your phone in your bed. Oh, and you know what it is? Your phone had to be on, like screen on, face down or something. Like it couldn't go into sleep mode. Like your phone had to be active in the game for it to work.
That makes
So
no
it's like
sense.
I'm just gonna kill my phone 10 times faster and or wake up in heaven when my thing just ignites and my house is gone.
Yeah, I know
All
my
for
phone gets like super hot if I just like leave it open and just like plugged in, right? Like it just starts to burn. And so yeah, like having that next to my, I don't know where else you would put your phone, like just next to your head, I guess, like while you're
I,
sleeping.
I feel like in all the ads they show it on like a nightstand, like it's I don't know, using your microphones or something to.
maybe you can, yeah,
I mean, I guess you probably could do that, but I was reading through the stuff literally, and I'm positive it said to like have it in bed with you.
like better
Uh-uh.
performance. But even if it's on your nightstand, it still has to be not
On
asleep.
and yeah.
That's so stupid. Okay.
Did that answer your question? I'm sorry.
It did. No, I just the main thing was I feel like in the ads it showed like people waking up and then taking the phone off their nightstand.
Well, they're cheating. That's not fair.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling that if they showed them waking up and pulling their phone out from under their pillow, people will be like, "What the fuck?" Like,
How'd that get there?
I that would certainly be a no for me. It was already a no, then it would be a hell no.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. They wanna track your sleep. Make sure you're getting a good night's sleep. If you get a good enough night's sleep, we'll give you a shiny Pikachu. How's that sound?
Pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Worth it.
I'd be stressed out, like, because I'm a type A. Like, I'd be like, how'd my sleep go? What percentage did I get? Did I get the shiny? Did I not? Did Raikou come and sleep next to my bed like in the commercial? Like, I would be freaking out.
And then you wouldn't sleep.
Yeah, exactly. And then I
So there
get a
would be
low
no
score.
Raikou.
I feel like with my night terrors, I would only get ghost Pokemon anyway. Like I wouldn't want to see the shit that would appear in my like in the morning because I have to heard me sleeping.
Wake
It's
up
just
and see a Cubone at the end of your bed.
yeah, for real. That stuff would actually be there. Like I could. It's not on my phone. It's in real life.
Drowsy, it's like standing over you, doing his weird little finger movements. Awful. Awful. Yeah, I mean, Pokemon has like a wide range of. I mean, they just have a giant catalog at this point. So, anytime a Pokemon Presents comes around, it's always very interesting to see how they're going to capitalize on, what they already have out there. Um, and even with that, it's like I'm really happy that we didn't get, even though at least another Let's Go would be something different. I'm happy we didn't get like just another remake, right? Like, I'd much rather get something new. And to see them do that, and then also what you were saying, Chris, about the new trading card game on your phone. I think it's really neat to see them at least try and do some new stuff. I mean, even Pokemon Sleep, it's interesting, I guess is how I'll describe that. Um, but yeah, anything else on Pokemon?
I don't. I don't think I have anything.
I don't have anything.
Chris, you said June or July. You're expecting another little update, maybe?
Yeah, I feel like they'll do something in the summer. Although I feel like with Scarlet and Violet, they kind of just randomly drop little animated like clips on social media, and that's how they announce things.
Mm-hmm.
And they just release like 3-minute trailers. But since it's a brand new game and they haven't released any information, I feel like they'll say like this Tuesday we're gonna have a 9-minute presentation on Legends ZA. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, za, like pizza.
So I still think they should have spelled it with instead of the S at the end, it should have just been the Z and then the hyphen A. Legends ah.
I
I will
saw.
say I'm hoping for another live stream. Remember when they did that for Sword and Shield? That like fairy forest
Oh yeah,
for like 24 hours. It was
just to
just
reveal Galarian Ponyta.
yeah, great. I'm hoping for that again. I
I
need
don't
24 hours to burn in my life, and I'm gonna do it watching that.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it was just it was literally, I think it was a 24-hour live stream. It was just the forest.
Tranquil, but boring.
That's crazy. Did they run ads?
Of course.
Brilliant.
I think they paid to make the game. The game wasn't fully built at that point. It was just a proof of concept, and they're like, we really need this to work.
We need a cash flow now.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, if they do another, we'll say this, if they do another like deep dive where we at least get a decent bit of information about what's to come for the game, and that allows us to have a whole nother session of speculation, we should meet up here again to discuss it and break it all down, because I always love to hear what you guys have to say, and what you guys expect from the Pokemon games.
Thank you. We love being here.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of us and asking us to be on the show again. Been a while. It's good to be back.
My last episode was my like, what would you call it, biography?
Your journey into
Gaming?
games. I believe that was
That's it.
for both of you. Yeah, and that was probably a year ago at this point.
It was
Mhm.
December. It was whenever I texted you asking if you played Golden Sun. So you can go back in your texts because I put it in my calendar for the year after. And I did play Immortals. I can answer that question now confidently with a yes.
I was just about to ask.
I played Immortals. I beat Legends Arceus. I did a lot after that.
I mean, a year has passed. Over a year has passed, of course.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much. Where can the listeners find you?
They can find us at youtube.com/OneSPlays and on the various social medias, the same name.
And we'll include that in the description of this episode. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank
for having us.
you.
And Mike, of course, thank you.
Hey, happy to contribute.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.